Hello, welcome back to my second video. The topic of this video will be drastically different from the first video. I have opened this channel to just talk anything that comes in my heart. So if anything is pestering me in the back of my mind, I will upload a video on this channel. So there is going to be no consistent theme for this channel. So I am going to talk about my favorite mantra called Lookism. One of the most burning question in Lookism, apart from the mystery of the second body, spoilers if anyone hasn't read it, you will be spoiled later on. So if you don't want to, please close down the video and just go away. So where was I? So the most burning question in Lookism is definitely the mystery of the second body, but Lookism is also a gang fighting mantra. So power scaling is very prominent. In that power scaling scene, the biggest unanswered question is Eli versus Vasco. Many people say that Eli would have won if the fight continued, and many disagree. Many think that Vasco would have the win. My personal opinion, I think Eli would have been comfortable if one, he was giving his all. Two, he wasn't mentally enough. If he wasn't mentally enough and he was giving his all, by giving his all I mean using his animal instinct, he would have won comfortably. The base Eli versus base Vasco fight was negative fight for Eli. So I think the same pattern would have followed in Eli versus Vasco fight too. Like if you look at RH mode Vasco versus Eli fight, then RH mode Vasco was pushing back Eli, but an Eli who was mentally enough and not using animal instinct, even then he was able to block some of Vasco's attack. So think what will happen with animal instinct. Eli has superior BQ. With AI, animal instinct, at the best he will match Vasco's speed, or at worst he will surpass his speed, because it's common logic. Base Eli was massively faster than base Vasco, and by using the same logic, animal instinct Eli will be much faster than his base version, and thus RH mode Vasco. Now you can argue that there's no relation between both modes. You cannot argue that one mode gives more power up than other. Yeah, so I agree with that. But even then, if you look at their feats, like Eli, after getting beaten down by Vasco, just woke up, meaning Vasco's attack had no effect on Eli, even in RH mode. So it's proven that Eli's endurance and even Dura is higher than even RH mode Vasco. Now Eli goes and fights Basement Hulk twice. And yeah, I know this argument is old age and people will say that Eli has a terrain advantage. Sure, Eli had the terrain advantage, but he lasted so long against Basement Hulk Vasco, whereas was one shot. Yes, one shot. If you remember the Eli versus Basement Hulk encounter for the first time, Eli just ripped through the attack of Basement Hulk and redirected it with his bear claws. So if anyone is saying that Eli will not be able to redirect Vasco's RH Vasco mode attacks without the Batoon's help, no, he can. He can do it with claws. Batoons are only there so that he can hold back and he doesn't kill his opponents. That's the only reason. And many people argued that Batoons are not restriction for Eli anymore. He has overcome it. No, he has not overcome it. Batoons are and still a restriction for Eli. We see this in his latest fight, where he negative the Yoga King as soon as he started using his claws. We see the same with Gun, where he damaged Gun much more when he had his claws than his Batoons. I've also heard a newer argument that Animal Instinct doesn't boost his stats. That's completely false. That's something I don't even need to address. And this entire narrative of Crew Heads performing better than the entire Allied is just to solidify that Allied is still below Crew Heads. Remember the 1A where all the Crew Heads came together and defeated Basement Hulk, and the Allied were just one shot? It's just there to show you that the Crew Heads were better. And some people could come and just argue that Crew Heads were the Allied were exhausted, blah 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 blah. That's completely false. Crew Heads, Jake had fought Samuel. He was knocked down there. He then fought Jin Yong, took a direct gap Yong punch. Then Samuel has also been beaten by Jake. And John was beaten by Zack. And then Eli fought Vasco. Then fought Basement Hulk. And he didn't receive any hits, but his stamina was almost exhausted. So the Crew Heads were as tired as the Allied. And remember, the Eli fight, it lasted for like 12-13 chapters. So Eli was very, very exhausted. And then just their performance. Like, look at the performance of RH Mode Vasco against Gun, and look at the performance of Eli. Eli is the best option when it comes to this particular fight. He's just a poison for Vasco. First, Vasco's attacks are what? They are brute force, AP based. Eli can deflect that with his technique. He deflected Basement Hulk's punches, his AP. So I don't think Vasco's AP is really going to give him any trouble. In terms of speed, Base Eli was much superior than Base Vasco in Animal Instinct. At best, as I said, I think Eli would match his speed or even surpass him. I think the surpassing one is better, the realistic option. So AP, Vasco's AP isn't going to do anything to Eli. We saw that, but Eli's AP, he will just tear apart Vasco. And BQ, it's not even a question. Eli's BQ is superior than Vasco. So, yeah, if you look by stats, if you look by narrative, if you look by feats, Eli wins this, the case closed. And most of the community does agree, at least on Reddit. I have seen a few people heavily disagree with this, but they're just, holding on to the bias, nothing else. That's all for today.